Hi there, my name is Garrett. I am the founder of Onwards and Upwards NQ, a support group for those who are coming out of corrections and for those who have family who are inside. I am here today to talk to you about what to do when your loved one has been locked up or if you know they're about to be locked up. So, first of all, if possible, try and make sure they have your phone number on their person when they are locked up, whether you get that handed in at the watch house, whether you have the ability to give it to them before they're arrested. Um, that streamlines getting your number, onto their arunta, because that way the reception staff who process them coming into the prison can call you, get your permission to put the number on, get you down as a next of kin, and immediately then the loved one you have inside is able to ring you. If that doesn't happen, you are still able to get your phone number to them. You will simply have to write to them, send them a card, send them a letter, whichever you choose best. Send it to them with your number, and then they have to fill out a phone request form that goes into admin. And when admin get through their pile, they will call you and get your consent, check your DBO status, and get the number put on the runter that way. Be prepared, it is more than likely going to be a private number calling you, or out of the blue you may even get a inconspicuous text message saying that someone from the correctional center has asked to put you on, and could you please ring this number and give this reference number. So if you get those, be on the lookout for those, and be prepared to respond to those so that you can get that phone number up and going ASAP. The next thing you want to do is get your visits form in ASAP. It can take some weeks for these to be processed. Some people are lucky and get through within that first 4 to 6 week period. Some people, unfortunately, it can take months to get these signed off. Get your ID sorted, get your form filled out. I've put a link at the bottom of this presentation. It's also available online. If you simply Google Townsville Correctional Center and Form 27, it'll come up. You can download it. You can also drive out to the prison itself. They have them available there. You can then submit it either via email to Visits Processing, via mail to the PO Box, which is PO Box 5574 Townsville, or you can go in person and submit it. If you are submitting it via email or post, please make sure to get your ID certified by a JP before you send it off, and make sure to staple it to your application. I would also encourage you, where it asks you to declare any criminal record, to think mindfully about that. Some people have been caught out with traffic offences from 20 odd years ago that may or may not have flagged as a criminal record. I understand that's a bit of a grey area. I would encourage you to, if you know you've got those sort of offences listed there but you're not sure if they apply, maybe write "I don't know" on the lines where it's asked for more information, or say "to the best of your knowledge you don't believe so," because I've seen people's applications go to limbo for literally traffic offences that are 20 years old showing up on their record that they didn't disclose, and they were flagged as a security risk for that reason. I can't personally vouch for why that happens, but I'm just aware that it does occasionally. So the best way around it is just be honest and upfront. If you are aware that you've got a record, you need extra paper, don't be shy, put it on there. They're not looking to judge you. They're looking to assess the security of the prison. Another service you can sign up for ASAP is eMates. You see it here listed as Email a Prisoner. They offer an email service, so that's about $1. You can send an email, and then you can also send a reply sheet to the inmate. It's literally the quickest way to contact your loved one when they're inside. You do require their IOMS number to be able to list them as a contact on here, but you can at least get the ball rolling on your end and be set up for this while you wait to get their IOMS number off them so that you can either send them money or shoot them an email and get a response. Keeping in mind they do not have access to computers, so what happens is the email and the reply sheet get printed off and handed to them with their normal mail. Then they simply handwrite on the reply sheet and it gets sent back to you. There is a fee for the money transfer here as well, but it is a secure money transfer, and it is definitely a preferred service over trying to go out and take cash. You've got to take into account all your fuel costs and all that if you're making a special trip to do that. A lot of people prefer just to do the money transfer. Then you get the big pile of what do I do about all this? Centrelink, you don't need to do anything with them. The prison themselves will actually contact Centrelink because part of what they do in the reception is they'll declare where you are to the government, and that includes Centrelink. Department of Housing, yes and no. Sometimes they find out, sometimes they don't. Again, it's not generally, it depends how long the person's likely to be in for it to be an issue. Just contact them. If you're the next of kin, just contact them, explain the situation. They will be able to explain the next steps from there, whether that means signing a lease over to someone else to look after it for up to 6 months, I believe is the limit. Or whether it means that, look, this person's going to be in for years, we may as well, pack up and move out. How do we go about doing that? They're really helpful and knowledgeable on that, so just contact them, let them know. Private real estates can be a whole different ballgame, but again, you just contact them, explain that the individual's been locked up, they're no longer able to make their rent payments, and what's the process from there? Is it going to be a foreclosure on the rental lease? Is there going to be a grace period? That sort of thing. Just ask them. Same with the banks. Same thing. Just notify them, or not. If there's no reason to touch that person's money or their bank, I would personally like to go in and let them know anyway, just to cancel any cards and just put a hold on all those accounts until that individual themselves is released back in the community and can access that money. And that's just to provide some security for that individual for any funds that they do have in their bank. It's not a requirement, but if you're being proactive, you're like, I want to do something, I don't want to feel powerless, then by all means jump in there and just let them know they look, they've been locked up. We don't know where their wallet is, or their wallet may be sitting in the watch house still, or it might be sitting in their property. Can we just cancel their cards and put a hold on their accounts until they show up again? Power, phone billers, debt collectors, all of them, it's the same deal. Just contact them, let them know that this individual has been locked up. I would definitely hold off with those sort of services if the person's possibly looking at, getting out in 6 weeks. And if you're not sure about that, by all means, ask a lawyer. You can ring up for free legal advice. There's free legal services. You can ring legal aid and just go, this is what they've been charged with. What's my ballpark? Just to get yourself a bit of an idea. Because if you don't need to cancel services, then don't. But if you do, you just simply explain the situation. Unfortunately, as it is, with the crime rate being what it is in Australia, they do have policies and procedures in place for when that happens. And the same goes for employers, education providers. It's just notification. Just let them know, look, they're not showing up because they're not available. They're not ignoring you, they're just not available at the moment. And just let them know. Just don't enter into discussion with it. You don't need to start a gossip train. It's just simple. You don't even have to declare what it's about at that point. You just need to say, look, I'm sorry. Unfortunately, mistakes have been made. They're locked up. They're not going to be showing up at the moment. I don't know when they're coming home. They will get in touch with you and deal with that in due course. Protection orders. So this is a big one. So if you are the victim of the loved one who's inside and you want to get a protection order put in place so that when they come home there's certain conditions around that, you can most certainly still do that when they're locked up. There seems to be some confusion I see in our support group that some people think that because a person's locked up, that means they're no longer a risk, so you can't do that. That's not the case at all. Have a chat to your lawyer, have a chat to domestic violence services. They will, and legal aid, they will, by all means, they'll talk you through what you need to do. That's not a roadblock in any way, shape, or form. What can you do if there's currently one in place that affects your contact? If there's a nil contact order in place, you're not going to get a proof of visits. You're not going to be able to send mail. You're not going to be able, talk to them on the phone. Really, to be honest, your only course of action with a nil contact is to apply to the court and get that amended to allow a certain level of contact or be what it is. If you're going to go down that route, now this is not legal advice, I'm not a lawyer, but I would literally get some advice on that first. Get some counseling even before you consider going down that route, and just think about where that's putting you personally in the long term, because you don't want to put yourself in a position where you're jeopardizing your own welfare and your own life in the long term. As much as you may love someone, it might be your son, it might be your husband, it might be your wife, it might be your daughter, it could be your mum or your dad. Your heart is broken because you can't talk to them, but you need to weigh up your safety as well. So please weigh that up before you consider challenging that. If there is a clause in your protection order that says that they're allowed to contact you if you give them permission in writing, I would do up that permission in the form of a stat deck, send a copy in separately both to the inmate and to Intel, address it to Intel specifically. I would even email it through visits processing email address and just entitle it Attention Intel. And that way, that should, I would imagine, cover that clause and that condition. You may still run into some stumbling blocks, but that would be my best way forward. If you have any other queries about that or you're having issues, by all means, speak to visits processing and they can put you in touch with the right people to help you in the prison. If your loved one inside has also been a victim of family violence and needs to apply for a protection order, they can definitely still do that. They have legal aid and ATSLs on their Arunta. It is a free call. They can ring them and they can literally say, look, I've been in this position. I'm now locked up because of my part in it, but I need to protect myself. I need to protect my family for when I return into the community. And this isn't going to happen unless there's some sort of order in place. And those support services will help get that ball rolling and tell them what they need to do. So let's say you've been sitting there for a few weeks, you've been approved for visits, what now? First of all, you need to book your visit. So I would imagine at this point, if you've had your application pending, you've been ringing weekly just to go, hey, has it been approved yet? Am I approved yet? Da, 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 da. Then you'll finally get, your approval. Feel free to pause this slide and zoom in. You've got your visiting times for the different sections. You don't need to know this information offhand. The girls in visits processing, they'll be able to tell you when. So when you ring up to book on either a Saturday or Sunday for a contact visit or a weekday for a virtual visit, you can just go, oh, I'm available this time on this day. Are there any visits available around that time? Then they will go ahead and talk you through the process with doing that. They are available Monday to Friday from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Once you have your booking in there, please familiarize yourself with the dress code. Closed-in shoes or at least sandals with a strap around the back. Nothing see-through, no extra jewelry other than a wedding band. Glasses only if you require them to see. Simple hairband. You must have sleeves on. Your shorts or skirts must be knee length. It's for your own protection. It's for workplace health and safety reasons. And you might get leniency on your first visit, but if you repeatedly show up in inappropriate clothing, you will lose your visits. And it's not the stress you want to be walking into, especially on your first day when all of a sudden you've got all the officers commenting, hang on, you're not wearing the right stuff. So if you have any questions, please jump into our support group and go, hey, is this going to be appropriate? But it is pretty straightforward, I would imagine. But yeah, definitely familiarize yourself with the posters there. Um, what if your loved one has kids? So there's a few different things that can happen when you've got kids inside. I know they do have a mums and bubs section in the women's side, and so if your loved one's expecting a baby shortly or has a breastfeeding baby or small toddler, there is arrangements that can be made for that child to go and stay with the mother in the prison. They've got to go through an assessment and approval process. I'm not going to delve too much into that here. That is something that the mother generally arranges from inside talking to assessment services. Um, there is a booklet available in the prison, specifically on the women's side, but I have heard of the men getting access to this as well. It's called Mums in Jail. It's been written and illustrated by inmates in the women's prison, and it's a really great story to be able to read to the kids to reassure them for just what's happening to that parent, and just so they know that the parent's safe. This parent's going to be doing things like what's life look like for dad now? What's life look like for mum now? Ask your loved one for a copy of that. If they have trouble getting a copy, I would even have a chat to Visits Processing. The ladies there know what it is, and just say, hey, do you think that I could get permission to get a copy of this? Because it is a really good book to read to your little ones. If the children are with child safety or there are family court orders involved around the contact for the incarcerated loved one, contact child safety or your lawyer ASAP, just to inform them of the situation and talk to them about where from here. If you're not a party to the court case but you know who your loved one's lawyer is, just shoot them a contact, whether it's an email or a phone call, let them know that they're incarcerated, and ask them to contact their client in the prison. They are capable of doing that. So just get that ball rolling for them. There are play groups every Friday. I think it's every Friday in the women's centre. I don't know what day it runs in the men's, but they run play groups for the kids up to 5 years of age can go in and spend time with their parents for a couple hours in there. It's a really good play group. They've got all the toys and jazz there, and it's a nice stress-free environment for the kids to interact with their parents. There are also other special visits days. Shine for Kids is a great service that works with the inmates. They provide some education programs as well as they actually facilitate, I believe, the playgroup and able to assist with providing contact between parents and child. And to some degree, I've also seen them offering support with navigating child safety as well. Look them up. They're based in Brisbane, but they have a Townsville team as well. Get in touch with them and they will be able to let you know exactly what they have currently available for support. Now, something a lot of people forget to touch on is looking after yourself. Burnout is very real. Anything to do with the prison is exhausting. You go out for visits, you're going to be exhausted. You start sorting stuff out, you're going to be exhausted. Just mentally, it overwhelms you. You start worrying about your loved one inside. There's a lot of changes that happen. There's a lot of societal stigma and misinformation that you're going to be challenging. If you've never been associated with the prison before, you're going to be challenging your own misinformed beliefs and stereotypes, and that can, pardon me, that can affect yourself because some people experience shame for the way that they have envisioned corrections in the past and then realizing that actually it's not like that. Um, so please, there are services here, there are helplines. Don't be afraid to call them. They're free calls. Just have a chat. You're not alone. We have our own online support group for Townsville Correctional Centre and the surrounding centres. We actually have members in there from other centres who come in. We offer a face-to-face group as well as the online group. If you are from another centre, there are other centres based groups, on Facebook. Join that group, get yourself support, get yourself in with people who are in the same boat. Um, Everyone's really friendly, everyone understands it. You're not alone, and don't let yourself burn out with the stress and worry. Just pop in and go, hey, I'm not feeling okay. I'm worried about dot, 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 or haven't had phone calls in this amount of time, or, I'm new to this. What is happening here? And I guarantee you 100% of the time, someone's going to be available to say, hey, here, pop me a PM, let's have a chat, or ring the line and explain what's happening. They've heard it all before, and they're here to help. So links and contacts, you'll see here, there's your link to your Form 27. There's the link to our Townsville support group. There's the phone number for the Correctional Centre visit booking line. I've also chucked on the Shine for Kids contact information there as well. There is a free bus service that runs to the prison for visits here in Townsville. Um, they have specific pick up and drop off locations generally within walking distance to most residences. So if you're lacking in transport, that is a definite option for you to be able to facilitate visits. So at this point, I'd like to thank you for your time in watching my short presentation. Credits I'd like to add in here is these organisations um, have been a source for most of my information or fact checking, other than the fact that most of it is lived experience now as well. And I wish you all the best on your journey.